First of all, want to congratulate Jim Delaney on his retirement. Obviously, being new to the Big Ten, certainly, even though I was new to the Big Ten, I'm keenly aware of his impact on our league, his forward thinking, and he's had an incredible tenure leading the conference. So congratulations to he and his family on the next step in their life. Obviously, we've been back to work here preparing for a Northwestern team that we just faced, a team that, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the job that Chris does, and they've just got some really, really difficult people to guard, in particular with Pardon and Vic Law. And then they've had some transfers, fourth-year transfer, fifth-year transfer that is really Taylor and other guys that have really helped them. We played well here against them a couple weeks ago. Back reviewing the film, we really played a pretty efficient, pretty complete. We struggled shooting the ball early, but pretty efficient, pretty complete game. We played really well. And in particular, had a couple guys play really well, Caleb being one of them. So we're obviously hard at work here and need to finish up preparation for him.
Is there any update on Caleb's status? Could you have him tomorrow, or what is his prognosis look like?
As I mentioned last week, with Caleb being suspended by the athletic department, he will be out for tomorrow.
And you mentioned Pardon, and you mentioned obviously they've got a lot of interior size, and they can really pack the paint. What's the challenge like of trying to get some more post touches and inside-out movement that you weren't able to get like at Purdue without Caleb now? Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that we're in transition here, trying to figure out. What's the best way to attack defenses, given the fact that much of our offensive game plan and attack from day one has been at least in large part centered around playing out of the post, because we felt like that was going to be our best option this year. And we're just in the process of thinking through all that in terms of personnel and adjustments. It's hard to make too many significant adjustments at this point, but we're in the process of looking at all that, which makes it difficult, but we need to.
You mentioned on your radio show yesterday that Kyle can't practice because of the leg injury, and if he practiced, he wouldn't have it to be able to play. I'm curious, when you guys are deciding when to bring him back, what goes into that, knowing that he's only going to be able to give so much, how you make that decision and how you make the decision to have him for games?
Initially, when the decision was to bring him back, I think we felt like any little bit was better than nothing, and I think the medical staff felt confident that he wasn't going to be completely healthy until he takes about 4, 5, 6 weeks completely off of his leg. But because that wasn't going to be possible, and because of our lack of depth already, Kyle had a willingness to want to play, and we obviously needed to get him back in. So what has happened is it's just the lack of practice time has really hurt him, and it's hurt his conditioning, it's hurt his ability to play physically. It's hurt our team, but there's nothing any of us can do about it. So, but it's affected him for sure.
Chris, is there an end game to Wesson's suspension? If there is, and maybe you don't want to share it, or there isn't?
Yeah, It's not really something I'd like to discuss right now. I think we're trying to keep that in-house as much as possible. I think we're trying to take it, day by day, and I'm looking at it day by day, and I'm also being advised on kind of what to do. So by people above me. So
it's not your sole.
No.
And how did you react? I'm sorry I wasn't here last Friday. How did you react when he's put you in a very tough spot, and kids make mistakes, and I don't want to gang up on him.
Sure.
Well, what was your message to him?
Obviously, he's a part of our family, and we don't use that term lightly. He's a young man that we care about, and I think when you get into this deal here in terms of coaching and working with 18 to 22-year-olds, there's going to be some learning opportunities along the way. As you mentioned, the timing, everybody understands the timing and how difficult the timing is. And I think he understood clearly that, we were disappointed, that his teammates were disappointed. And I think in some ways that was probably important for him to hear. But as I mentioned, we're gonna move forward here, and hope that this is an experience that there's a lot of growth and learning that can come from it. That's kind of our message.
So there's no guarantee he'll play for you in the Big Ten tournament?
Well, I don't want to put a specific timeline on it right now. Right now I'm not ready to put a specific timeline on it. Again, he's with us every day. He's involved in everything we do. He's around us.
What do you see as the benefit of him traveling? I noticed Dockich made a very pointed comment, not the younger, the older, during the game, as if he messed up. Why is he given the privilege of being with the team almost?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Dan did.
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear that. I think that, one, it was a weekend game, and I just think that, we want him around our team right now.
Yeah.
He's not been kicked off the team. So people can have their opinions on how to handle that. That's how I chose to handle it.
You talked a lot about the defensive setup without Caleb. I don't think you probably could have zoned Purdue just with the way that they play. But moving forward, is that something you think you can rely on a little more to maybe take some pressure off of Jay and take some pressure off of all the other guys you have to play who aren't maybe the best on-ball kind of defenders? Yeah.
We've looked at it. We have looked at it, and we've batted around and talked about it. One of the things that I think if you're going to zone, one of the things that really helps is if you have some length and size. And part of the reason we committed to playing more zone this year was because of Caleb's foul issues, and he does give you a presence at the rim. We just don't have as much of that right now, and we don't have great length on the perimeter. So, well, it's something we've looked at, and it's something we have in our package. I don't know that I want to get in the specifics of how much we'll use it, but it is something we have in our package.
And then with Jay on the offensive end, it seemed like they just really didn't guard him if he wasn't on the block. And I don't know what's your comfort level with him shooting jump shots, because watch him warm up and it looks like it's a decent looking shot, and I think he's hit a couple in games. Like, what's your comfort level, and how far out can he start taking jump shots?
He's very accurate mid-range jump shooter, very accurate. He just we ran a play for him to open the game the other day. He just missed it, but He's very accurate. He just, he has to get more comfortable. As I mentioned yesterday in the radio show, not that I had a whole lot of alternatives, but putting 3 freshmen and really 4 freshmen in a lot of minutes in that environment probably was not fair to them. And not that they were complaining. I'm sure they welcomed it, but I'm not sure that was the best. I'm not sure we had other options, but I'm not sure that was the best. And I think, Jay was kind of a little wide-eyed going into that environment and playing against that level of game.
Hey, Chris, when you, with Caleb out, last couple of games that he played, he'd really become comfortable passing out of double teams, creating some space outside, open looks for shooters. With a smaller lineup, how do you get that same space? How do you find ways to get your shooters some space so they can look at the bucket?
Well, we're going to have to try to screen better. We're going to have to hope that we can get in transition a little bit more. Guys are going to have to play to their strengths a little bit more. One of the things that our smaller guys can do is get on and off ball screens a little bit quicker. Again, that's kind of you don't want to be going into the last week of the season and saying, okay, hey, we're going to overhaul everything we've done offensively and defensively. But there are some things that we have to look at and say, okay, hey, do we need to do this? Do we need to run this? And some of it is, listen, we're not sure how effective it's going to be. When because Kyle hasn't played a whole lot, and Jay, at least here consistent lately, and Jay hasn't played a whole lot throughout the season. So it's a little bit of, in some ways, you're trying to figure out on the in live game experience what guys are capable of.
Chris, you had mentioned that there were some steps that Caleb needed to take. Are those things proceeding at a pace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Has Harrison Hookfin learned the 1 or 2 plays that you wanted him to learn?
Yeah, Harrison is getting there. He's getting there. I think it's going through practice yesterday, we're teaching him, the very beginning stages of ball screen defense. Not because, he was well coached in high school, not because of that, but just it's different. And yeah, we've had him on scout team the whole time. And I thought to myself, this is a first, practice 93. We're teaching ball screen defense to a guy that could play in a game here in a day or two. So we'll see.
And when any game is as lopsided as this past weekend's was, looking at film, were you okay with the effort level the entire time? Was it all a matter of execution, or were you upset at certain areas of energy too? Yeah,
we did not bring enough competitive fight to that game and effort in general. So we all take responsibility for that. But no, it wasn't. Very rarely have I said that about this group or last year's group. Very rarely. It's been very rare, but that was the case.
There'll be time to dissect it all when the season is actually over. But as you're sitting here now and you're talking about overhauling offense and defense, and I know you simplified things back in January when things weren't going well. This season, the way that it has maybe tested this group and tested these guys, in what ways has this season impacted you or changed you or challenged you as far as just all the different ways it seems to be sort of pushing you and stretching you?
I just, I think, haven't been through a season like this before. And obviously I haven't been a head coach for 20 years, but have not been through a season that has had this many kind of twists and turns to it. Having said that, it's really exciting, and I'm really grateful for this group, and I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to play games that matter in March. I'm really grateful for that because it certainly could have looked a lot different. So that's got to be our focus and stare the challenges straight ahead and attack them with aggressiveness and and confidence and positivity, and that's what we're trying to do.
I just wonder what it's like waking up on game day, because I've been just talking to people in my family, and I say I'm excited at this point of the season to see what that night is going to bring, because I feel like this team has been so somewhat unpredictable that I legitimately don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not a good feeling as a coach, but I just wonder what it's like for you to wake up on game day and to be kind of where you are, and to coming off such swings from one game to the next, just what it's like when you wake up on game day and think,
well,
okay,
you're assuming that you go to sleep. Which is not always the case. No, it was not the case last night. I just, I think it's as much as possible, Adam, you're just trying to stay in the moment. You're trying to coach your team and coach and prepare your team and do as well as you can. And I'm critical when I don't do a good job of that, but that's like, that is whatever kind of hits us, whatever comes our way, CJ ankle injury a couple games ago, a shoulder injury, Kyle's injury, this issue with Caleb, you're just trying to coach your team. Let's find a way to put ourselves in the very best spot we can be in. Let's be grateful for the opportunity that we have, and then attack it. And whatever happens, happens. And we'll live with the results. That's really what we've tried to do, and what we're going to continue to try to do here.
Even with especially with the loss of Caleb, do you feel like there's an added pressure on Kyle to play as if he were 100% healthy in
Sure,
the stretch of
but
games?
we need that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I think I think, is he needed more now? Certainly, and there's no question that I think that's probably exciting to him. But yeah, absolutely, and he can only do what he can do, right? I mean, he can't do more.